How many men do you know who say, "I'm fine," while inside they feel like they're about to collapse? Maybe you are one of them. And the thing is, in a world that constantly tells us we have to be strong, where is there any room left for pain? This video isn't just a conversation about what it means to hide pain. It's a call to reflect and act. We will discover how men hide their emotions, and more importantly, what we can do to change this reality that silently affects millions. We live in a society that idealizes male strength and stoicism. From an early age, many men grow up hearing phrases like, "Don't cry, that's for weaklings," or "You have to be the man of the house." These words, although they may seem harmless, are seeds that germinate inside us, shaping the way we face adversity and build our relationships with others and with ourselves. We learn that showing emotions is synonymous with weakness, that asking for help is a sign of personal failure, and that pain is not something to be shared, but something to be endured in solitude. But at what cost? The cost of this narrative is much higher than we imagine. The mental health of millions of men is at risk from a society that still does not give them permission to be vulnerable. Men's emotional pain often does not manifest itself in obvious ways. We don't see it in tears or words of despair. Instead, it hides behind behaviors that society has normalized. Take overwork, for example. That man who spends 12 to 14 hours a day in the office, who never has time for himself or his family, is often seen as ambitious, committed, a role model. But what if that commitment is nothing more than a mask? What if that man is using work as a way to escape, to avoid facing the emotions he has repressed for years? This reality is more common than we think. Work, alcohol, even extreme exercise can become safe havens to avoid dealing with inner pain. Another common behavior is isolation. Perhaps you know someone who has been slowly withdrawing from friends and family. Perhaps he or she has stopped attending social gatherings, avoids deep conversations, or just seems to be always busy. This type of isolation is not always obvious, because it is often accompanied by excuses that seem valid. "I've been too busy," or "I just need time to myself." But behind these words often lies someone who is fighting an internal battle, someone who feels they cannot share their pain because they fear being judged or misunderstood. This isolation, while it may seem like a temporary solution, only deepens the problem. By disconnecting from others, we deprive ourselves of the support and human connection we so desperately need to heal. Perhaps one of the most obvious signs of this repressed pain is anger. Anger is a powerful emotion, and for many men, it is more acceptable to express anger than sadness or fear. It is easier to yell, argue, or overreact than to admit that something is hurting us. But anger, while it may seem like a release, actually does nothing more than mask what we really feel. Behind this explosion of emotions, there are often feelings of vulnerability, insecurity, and despair. It is like an escape valve that does not solve the problem, but amplifies it, damaging relationships and increasing isolation. So why do men hide their pain? The answer is deeply rooted in culture and societal expectations. Throughout history, we have glorified the image of the strong man, the provider, the protector. We have created an ideal that leaves no room for vulnerability, for error, for suffering. This idea of toxic masculinity affects not only men, but also the people around them. Friends, partners, children, all are affected when a man feels he cannot be honest about what he is facing. But this narrative doesn't have to define us. We can change it. We can build a new idea of what it means to be strong, one that includes the ability to speak up, to ask for help, to show our emotions. Breaking this cycle is not easy, but it is possible. The first step is to recognize that pain is not an enemy. It is a sign that something needs attention. Talking about what we are feeling is an act of courage, not weakness. It can be scary at first, especially if we have spent our whole lives believing that we should keep our emotions private. But by sharing our struggles with someone we trust, whether it's a friend, family member, or therapist, we begin to release that burden we've carried for so long. We don't have to do it all at once. Sometimes just expressing a small part of what we're feeling can make a huge difference. In addition to talking, it is important to find ways to process our emotions in a healthy way. Exercise, meditation, writing, even activities like gardening or art can be powerful tools to release what we carry inside. The important thing is to find something that works for us, something that allows us to reconnect with our emotions and ourselves. It is also crucial to surround ourselves with people who support and understand us, people who allow us to be ourselves without fear of judgment. The truth is that there is no one-size-fits-all solution. Every man has his own story, his own struggles, his own ways of dealing with pain. But there is one thing we all have in common: the ability to heal. No matter how deep the wound, there is always hope. There is always a way to rebuild, to grow, to find joy again. And most importantly, you don't have to do it alone. There are resources, communities, and people willing to support you every step of the way. Before I close, I want to ask something of you. If this message resonated with you, if you think it can help someone else, share it. This video is not just a conversation. It's a movement to break the silence, to change the narrative, to build a world where all men can feel safe being themselves. Subscribe to the channel to continue exploring important and necessary topics, and leave a comment with your thoughts or experiences. This is a safe space, a place where we can talk about what many are silent about, where we can find support and understanding. Remember, you are never alone, and it is never too late to start healing.